Check, check. Okay. Check, check, check. Namaste, everybody. So it's a pleasure being with all of you and sharing my experience and what are the things it affects and what are the things we should know. Is a vegetarian or vegan, how it works and why it works, and what are the things we should know that. So I'd like to thank first all the committee members, Mr. Thab and all those things. So inviting me here today to give a brief connection, the spiritual connection between yoga and the vegan or the vegetarian, what we call in yogic language, we call it as Sattvic. In Ayurvedic also we call the Sattvic food. How it connects, okay? So let's discuss a little bit deeply, a little bit. So in most of the time, the yoga gives a very interesting part to understand about the physical body, connection between the breath and the mind, as we know all. But it's not only focusing on the physical, mental, and the breath. It's more than that. It connects on the emotional and to bring a proper connection between the soul, what we call it as a soul, to the supreme soul. It connects to the higher conscious level, the cosmic energy, what we call. And that's we call the spiritual level. Most of the people, they have been practicing yoga for a long time. When they're doing the yoga postures to increase the stamina, strength, and also to work it on the more about flexibility. If you have seen lots of the, in each and every corner of the world, you can see now that yoga is really popular. Yoga is really popular, especially now, last 10 years. You can feel everyone doing the yoga now. But are they doing right yoga or just focusing on the physical exercises? If there is no connection between the body, breath, and the mind, it's not yoga at all. It's just like how they do in a gym, like jogging, running, what sit-ups, whatever we're doing, it's same like that. But there is a connection between body, breath, and the mind. That's the posture. That's the postures we call it as the yoga postures. But yoga postures, what we have been doing, is just a very minute part of yoga. A very minute part. You can say 0.00001% of yoga, what we've been practicing. But a very important part of yoga is to understand about the basic knowledge. Let's begin here. Most of the yoga practitioners that we call the yogis, most of the yoga practitioner yogis, they have been vegetarian. They are completely focusing on the spiritual level. Like somebody told that about Vivekananda is not as a vegetarian. Yes. But the spiritual way, what they choose, it's the same way. But most of the yogis, they are the vegetarians. They're bringing their body, mind, and the breath to level, bring it to the higher conscious level. We call it at the spiritual level. Then each and every time when they focus on bringing them to the higher conscious level, it's not easy at all to just sit and focus. It's the way of their living, the way of their understanding. How each and every time, if I want to talk something to a person, if I keep something inside, really angry inside, and I keep talking to you, there's no matter that I can bring my peace. There's no peace for me inside. It doesn't mean that I can bring myself to the higher level of consciousness. Not at all. That's what yoga teaches us. We have to get within us first. That's what we call swadhyaya. Swadhyaya means study yourself first, what you are. Then you can start the journey of yoga. That's what we call the yoga or yoga. That's the journey of yoga. So most of the time when we're practicing yoga, that's even I teach the postures. All the events, what are the things even everybody attract by the postures? Because everybody want to get slim. They want to get a proper way of understanding their physical body to show, to represent. If I want to see some person, they have to be look nice, young, right? They have to be look young, fresh. They're completely like with a complete nice body. That's the purpose, the main purpose of bringing yoga to all over the world with this concept only. That what they're understanding about the postures, what they're understanding about their own physical body. But that is not at all. Yoga is different than what just we think. That's why when you're understanding about your physical body, the first step we should know before you start yoga, this is the basic step. If you have been practicing yoga, if you know understanding about yoga, there are 8 different stages of understanding about yoga. 8 stages. The first we call yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and the last part is the samadhi. The very basic yama and niyama. Yama, niyama, these are the first step of yoga to understand. First step of understanding. Third, we call asana, that is postures. All of us, what we're doing, we skip the first and 2. 1 and 2, we skip it. We focus on the third part. Why? The first and second step already is difficult to follow it. In a first step, we call it as, see, these are first step in 5 different steps. In a first step only we have 5 different ways to understand. The first one we call it as ahimsa. Ahimsa, which means non-violence. Non-violence, what we talk, what we eat, what we think. When the point comes what we eat, it's already vegetarian, vegan. When we're thinking about non-violence, we cannot harm any animal. We cannot harm anything, just it's on our plate, what way we're taking the dishes. It's not about just we just kill the animal and just we eat, or we thinking about we doing yoga. No, not at all. Most of the time, whenever I give my speech in different part of the world, everybody asks only one question. If you want to practice yoga, do I need to be vegetarian or not? The same question I get in every part of the world. The same question. Do I need to be vegetarian if I want to practice yoga? No. The answer is no. But if you want to practice a called yoga, the complete part of yoga, if you want to practice, yes, you have to be vegetarian if you want to practice yoga. But if you want to practice the asana, what we call the physical exercises, asana. So if you see in Vietnam only, I've been in Vietnam like almost 18 years now. In Vietnam, I live in 18 years. A lots of thousands of my students, 10,000 students I have right now. Everybody is not a vegetarian. Everybody knows a vegetarian, which hard to push them to be a vegetarian. But I tell them the same thing. If you want to practice a yoga, you have to be vegetarian. If you want to practice just the posture for flexibility or burn a fat, those things, you don't need to be a part of the vegetarian part. But if you want to feel it, how exactly it works, vegetarian food, how it exactly works, you have to be vegetarian to feel it, to know it, to explore yourself. It's not about the I say, you say, somebody said, no. You have to feel it. The information of the body, whatever the information we get, whatever the disorders we get, let me tell, in yoga, we not call the disease. Whatever I treat my patients, everything in a different therapy, yoga therapy treatment, I not call them as disease. I call it as a disorder. If it's not in order, your body start to get a problem. It can be this minor problem or the major problem or with the chronic diseases. Whatever it happens, it must be the problem with you, not problem with your body. How you train your body will become like that. That's the reason I have given a lots of paperworks. Depends on the vegetarian food. Why? Because the vegetarian food helps to bring the proper way of understanding yourself. Don't worry about others. That's why I tell you, if anybody still come to me and tell me that I want to leave the non-veg completely, I want to know that. No, I said, no, don't leave. If you want to really understand yourself, if you want to change yourself, then go with the vegetarian food. That's we call the Sattvic food. So let's understand what is Sattvic food here. So in Ayurveda, let me tell a little bit about. The Ayurveda is one of the oldest, first medicine in the world. It's from India. If you search in a Google, you'll find lots of paperwork, lots of information you'll find. Ayurveda is one of the oldest and the first medicine in the world, which depends on the plant-based medicine. So according to Ayurveda and Yoga, there are 3 different levels of the person, the character, which is called the gunas. 3 gunas. The first one we call it as Sattvic, Tamasic, and Rajasic. This is we call the 3 gunas, which means depends on what the person character, depends on the person behavior, depends on the person what we consume. Like if you see in a monk, saint, sages, they always consume the vegetarian food without non-violence foods, which means always with a purity, fresh, with a love. That's called the Sattvic food. If any person taking the Sattvic food, the person concentration power is really high. The focus and the concentration is really different than the normal person, the one who taking the different meat and different food. If you're taking as second one, if you're taking as a Rajasic food, Rajas, most of the people right now in this situation now, they're vegetarian or the non-vegetarian. They're taking both. They're both. They're taking both. Why? Because of the life is pushing them to think a lot of things. They have to be energetic. They have to be focused physically and mentally also. And the third part we go with Tamasic. Tamas means the person is taking, depends on the non-vegetarian, depends on the meat. It's always, the person will get angry, the person always with the fear, the person always with the stress. If the person is taking only meat, you observe that person, a lot of complications, physically also, mentally also. It's always will have a lot of complications. That's why in yoga also we tell the people, if you have any physical problems, it can be the heart diseases, it can be the blood pressure, it can be any kind of liver and diabetes also. First thing, ask them to do the only one thing, change their diet plan. Change their diet plan to be a normal vegetarian food, at least for 1 month to try. Obviously, what happens? It changes. For sure, it changes. I've been treating lots of patients, lots of people here in Vietnamese. So it works 100% to know about, depends on their physical body, it works differently. So that's why what we eat depends on how we behave. It happens to each and everybody. If the person is getting too much angry all the time without any reason, you can feel that. No need to tell anything. But it doesn't mean that 100% everybody will be the same. Okay? Let me explain. Let me make it clear. Not 100% everybody same, but most of the 99% will be like that. Okay? So, most of our religious leaders and also the saints, they give us a proper way to understand about, different way to understand about the yogic language, and also different way of understanding the proper way, like how we have to be there with a social, how we have to act ourselves, and how we have to take care of ourselves to bring it in different aspects. Okay, so now let me ask very simple one questions. What kind of animals we are? Anybody know what kind of animals we are? Human. Herbivorous, omnivorous, carnivorous. Herbivorous, let me make it clear if nobody understand. Herbivorous depends on the plant. Carnivorous depends on the meat. Omnivorous depends on both. What we are? Human? What we are? Omnivorous? Omnivorous? Is it right? Right? Yes or no? Yes? No? Okay, yes. Omnivorous. Right? Okay, let me give you one simple example. Okay? A small kid. Take one small kid here. Okay? Take one small kid here. I keep the fruit in front of the kid. I keep one chicken in front of the kid. You tell me, which one will eat? Which one the kid will take to eat? Fruit, right? Why not chicken? Why did it take chicken? Right? The kid not take the chicken to play, not to put in a mouth. Right? The chicken is to play. The fruit is to eat. Without you telling to the kid, it's understand easily. Which means what? The human nature is not meant to eat meat. We're not meant to eat meat. We started to eat the meat from long time before, when it was snowfall. When it's a different part of the world, if there is snowfall, we not find the proper plants. It's a long history. I don't want to go there right now. If I go there, it will take more than 1 hour. So where the humans started to eat the meat, where they cannot find the tree, the root, that time they started to eat. But it doesn't mean that we are meant to eat the meat. That's the way to, we need to understand basic thing, basic nature of the human. That's the way, basic nature of human. So when we eating, like most of the people, they're thinking about, okay, in yoga, if you want to do it, meditation we know already. When we're doing meditation, what happens? If I eat the non-vegetarian, if I eat the meat, why I cannot reach to the higher level consciousness? The second question arises. Why I cannot reach there? We cannot reach up to the that level. In our brain, there is the neuron, the neuroplasticity. In our brain, there is a neuroplasticity. It protects the brain to bring it to harm and increase the power of the brain inside. There you cannot get when you have a meat regularly. If you eat the meat regularly, you don't have that. The coverage for the brain is called the neuroplasticity. If you try with a vegetarian, you can have the focus and the concentration easily and continuously during the meditation. If that meditation person, if going for at least for 1 month, you can feel the aura. If you know about aura, it's around the human body. It's not just I said that, I prove that. I don't just I'm talking about, it's proved. It's scientifically proved, not only just by yogic way. Yoga is from the 5,000 years before. I'm not teaching 5,000 years before, I keep saying 5,000 years. No, there is a scientific proof for that. So depends on that, how we practice. If you higher level, a spiritual level, you need to be a vegetarian to understand about that. To prove the vegetarian food is necessary for the human body, you have done the one Guinness World Record. Continuously for 36 hours, only taking, prove that for all the Vietnamese, to taking the vegetarian food, to maintain their proper health for 36 hours continuously. Not only in Vietnam, in Japan also. I have done 5 world record in Japan with the same techniques. not only for on Indians, not only on Indians, for other countries, people also. They completely meat-based people. But I bring them to understand about how the vegetarian food can keep them healthy and more active to do the yoga postures continuously 36 hours. It can be possible, it can be proved, and it's completely 100% we can do it. Okay, so that's my speech, small speech today. Thanks once again, all of you. And I would like to thank to Thao and Ms. Gung and everybody. And we hope to see you soon again if with different events. If you have any questions about anything, we can talk to later. Thank you. Thank you, Namaste.